Chris, you
This
turn the timer off.
capitalist is
The oven though. I need that to stay on.
You heard me, Terry?
No.
Janessa was screaming like an auntie.
I know. I was like, poor Chris. Jeez Louise.
Close my screen, though.
First of all, I am an auntie.
That's facts. That's facts.
To 4 people.
I'm about to say hella auntie. You got a lot of. I was saying, the way you spell capitalist is it T-O or T-A? With capital, as far as with capital. T-A-P-I-T-O or T-A?
Yeah. I believe it's with an A, but here, let me check.
That should be a podcast all by itself. It's like the capital and capital. Which one is which?
No, it's A.
I never remember.
It's A.
All right.
436 from Shaw.
In the great words of the philosopher, Ruel Alexander Wilson. Boom shaka.
Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Worst Ones podcast. My name is Wilson. I am a preacher's kid. We got Janessa, who's also a preacher's kid. Low-key fresh off of preacher's kid's duty not too long ago. And then, of course, we got Terry Wayne in the building.
Duty.
This guy. Of course, not of course, but Kellie Lee is out this particular episode. But of course, she'll be back. So keep her,
Fine. We don't even need her.
We'll keep her lifted up in our nothing wrong. She just couldn't make it. So anyways, how's everybody doing? Terry, how are you doing? We've seen each other recently.
Yeah.
Even after the brunch. I said we've seen each other recently after the brunch and the show in Atlanta.
Oh, okay. You were breaking up. Sorry.
Yeah, we did a show down in Miami together not too long ago. Was it Monday?
Yes.
0.
Yeah. I'm saying, but other than that, how you doing, man?
Terrible. It was a terrible day.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, it happens. I just come in my office and try to stay away from people so I don't lash out at them like I'm going to lash out at you two for an hour.
Okay.
Terry, today's not the day. Let me tell
you. She had a bad day too, but she just lied just a minute ago.
Today is not the day, Terry.
You all heard her when she said, "Oh, I'm doing good." Apparently not. Lies and deceit.
Well, Janessa, how terrible are you doing? Let's talk.
I'm just really tired. I just got off of a meeting. I thought, sometimes when you're on a virtual meeting, they say it's from 6 to 7:30 or set any time. I was hoping it would have been like not the whole time. For sure. It was one of those situations where it was like I had to log off because they were still going.
They're still meeting at this very moment. Past 7.
Right. Gotcha. And so,
I hate that. Like when a podcast says it's going to start at a certain time and it ends up starting like 45 minutes later. Yeah, it's annoying. You know how it is.
It happens.
Yeah. So then I was trying to cook dinner. Literally, I just put these cornbread in the pan, but I need to put the pan in the oven. Just.
Well, that seems like the easiest part.
Yeah, I'll get there eventually. It's just getting it done.
I hear you.
Gotcha.
Mine was just a tough day of work and traffic. So.
Well, I've had a wonderful day. It's actually been phenomenal.
Good. Why don't you keep it to yourself?
I went to the dentist today. Went to the dentist and got my shit fucked up. So that my mouth is a little sore right now. I literally just got back from Miami in Jacksonville. Like my GPS put me at my house at 7:28, and like literally just got back.
He's a professional.
But nonetheless, I am ecstatic to be here. I enjoy podcasting with you good peoples. And for all the good peoples who listen, we got some good reviews back on our anniversary episode. Everybody enjoyed that.
Nice.
Watching us cook breakfast and eat breakfast and fellowship. And, Terry cooked breakfast and we ate breakfast and fellowship. And, so yeah, that was a good time. I'm glad we did it. I'm glad we were able to pull it off. And actually that whole, what do you call it? Anniversary situation was a doozy, because just like it was a doozy to put together and to actually do, I had a hell of a time trying to like get it uploaded. Like every other episode I've ever done has been easy, but for some reason, like I'll edit it on my computer, because we obviously shoot on my computer, but this time it was on my iPad. It wouldn't airdrop for some reason. So it was this whole thing. So I had to edit on my iPad. I had to try to do this whole different thing. And literally, I fought with it all the way up until the day of to finally get it to a place where I can finally get it on YouTube. So, yeah, that anniversary, we worked for that one on this kind of scene. So, but other than that, I'm straight, back in Jacksonville for about a day and a half, and then right back to Miami for a couple of days, and then I'll be back in Jacksonville.
Do you have a particular dental issue? Because I know you go to the dentist a lot, I think.
Well, it's because when I was like within my last year of being active duty, they started like different procedures, whether it was like crowns or whatever, and they said that they would be done by the time I got out. Well, they didn't finish it, and so I tend to have like dental coverage like under the military, but because I unfinished work, they have to do it. Basically.
Yeah, they got to finish it up.
Right. And so, but with this whole Miami situation, is that was the first VA that I got registered into when I first got out, and it's been.
So you have to keep going there. Yeah.
Like,
now I see. Now I understand why you drive across the state to go to the dentist.
Yeah.
Now I get
so
it.
I try to make it worth my while. It's only been once that I've ever had to drive down to Miami only for a dental appointment, but I usually set things up to be in Miami around the time that I have to go to the dentist. So it's not a complete, gas for a fucking appointment. So yes, all is well. My mouth's still a little sore, but doesn't stop me from. Obviously, I'm not hurting that bad. All right. Well, once again, shout out Kellie for her absence. We'll see her next time. Let's start the podcast. Terry Wayne. I was about to call you Terry Lee. Terry Wayne. Talk to us, man. What are we talking about?
Would Jesus be a capitalist? I was telling you guys earlier that I saw a cool documentary on religious figures from different religious groups, and they were all asking him the same thing about, if Jesus was to live, if he was to live today and come back, what would be some of his viewpoints, and would certain people be in trouble or not in trouble? But that was the main question they kept asking him. They asked rabbis and priests, and
what was some of their feedback?
They pretty much all said no. Because I remember they asked, I think it was the rabbi, who they said, "Well, are you a capitalist?" And he goes, "Yes." And he goes, "Do you think that?" Well, he didn't say Jesus, obviously. There ain't no Jesus. Well, I mean, there is, but never mind. That's a longer story. But no, they basically said, if God was alive, would he be a capitalist? And And yeah.
Oh, so that's Terry freezing. I thought that was me. I'm like, dang, oh shit just started. I'm like, once I seen your head still move, I was like, okay, that's not me. Okay,
oh. No, but basically, yeah, they asked him, "Are you a capitalist?" And they said yes. And he said, "Do you think God would be?" And they said no. So, basically, we're just going to go from there.
So, I mean, I have Janessa, unless you have something about that specific conversation that those rabbis and different people had, I guess, even bigger question is, is capitalism wrong in every scenario? Now, obviously, I'm sure certain scenarios where, like if you're anybody into like a, just say slavery position, doesn't just like what happened with America's slavery. I'm just saying in general, like if you're capitalizing on opportunity, that could be maybe, I don't know, harmful to other people in some form or fashion. That could be frowned upon, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to think about any business that exists that's not benefiting from some type of capitalizing. Like, there was a gap, they filled the gap and capitalized, from it. Like when people feel like, oh, this doesn't exist, let me create it, sell it. Like that's capitalism. So would I think Jesus would create a good idea that could be sold? I mean, possibly, you know what I'm saying? But do I think he would, use and abuse people just for the sake of, monetary gain? I couldn't really see that being a thing.
I think in the Bible, like to a certain extent, the same kind of concepts we have today in terms of buying and selling, whether it be goods or services, was kind of established back then too. So, and I don't, I know, well, I think I know. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Jesus have a meal with somebody who was like a tax collector or something like that? Like, so, it wasn't like taxes was wrong and selling services was wrong. Like that was the thing. And that was apparently acceptable, I guess. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. At least that's what was going on when Jesus was around.
Right.
So, when he was established. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. He's making fun of the word, how we say it, established.
Oh.
Established.
When he was around. So I don't know. I think.
But I mean, there were harlots when he was around. That don't necessarily make what they were doing right.
He hung out with everybody.
Fornicators, there were adulterers. All these people were around when, what I'm saying. So, but that's what makes me ask the question: is capitalism even wrong? Because once again,
that's what I was speaking to. Like I don't.
Okay, got you. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I just don't know because, like I said, certain parts of it from back then still exist in terms of concepts. So it's just kind of like. But it wasn't as far as I know, and I haven't read the Bible through and through. But and I didn't have any time to do research. I found out about the topic 2 seconds before we started. So
I like it better that way when you guys are just on your toes.
Because I need to give facts, Terry. I don't just say stuff without backing it up. But
we talking feelings here. What's your feeling on it?
No.
What
Terry,
facts? What else do you need to know?
But it's just like I don't know because it seems like you said, Rudy, that lifestyle was the norm. Like, was it wrong? I don't know.
Right. I mean, I'm saying, and it's still the norm because once again, like that's the reason businesses are created is based off of capitalism. You know what I'm saying? Like capitalism can get a bad rap because it can be used negatively, but at the same time, anybody who is like, if you're an entrepreneur, like you're creating a business, you're trying to capitalize on a gap in the market. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to, or even if there is something that already exists, like somebody else already make cologne, but I'm gonna make a different cologne that's vegan based or whatever. Or I'm gonna do this, and that's still capitalizing though. Or if I'm already a millionaire, you got a great idea, but you don't have any capital. I can capitalize on the opportunity and give you money, and we both come out okay in that. Once again, I don't know any Bible stories to show proof that Jesus was out here making entrepreneurial moves. You know what I'm saying? So so it's hard for me to answer it about him specifically. But my bigger question is what I'm saying even wrong? Is that wrong to operate in business like that, which is capitalism?
So real quick, I also wanted to add, I don't know if capitalism is wrong, but I think where we do go wrong is, in these same businesses, especially the big ones that are bringing in hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, like, are those businesses keeping all that money for themselves? Are they paying their employees like they should? Right. Are they giving back to the community like they should? Like, right. I think it's kind of like a checks and balances. There's nothing wrong necessarily with making money, but the Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil. And everybody, if you're real honest with yourself, everybody's not able to separate and be like, I'm doing this to make money to provide the things that I need to live for my family, whoever, versus I love me some money. I love my bling bling. I love all my stuff. I love all this materialistic stuff. Like, that's, I think, where back then and today, a lot of people are in that part. They're in the love of money.
Let's redefine it real quick, just because I feel like we're kind of getting off on hinges here. Taxes has nothing to do with capitalism. Everybody has taxes, and they had taxes back then too. No, capitalism is more. It's a means to separate workers or a labor force from the actual means of production. It's where investments and decision making, those are all made by what does it say here? By the owners of wealth. So it basically means the rich run the industry, whatever industry you're going to be in. And whereas they don't get to determine the prices because it's a free market, so the market defines the prices. Meaning, if McDonald's sells hamburgers, they get to choose if they want to sell them for $1 or $20.
Right.
But nobody else in the company gets to make those decisions except for those defined by the wealth, meaning those at the top.
Right, but those who are at the top, did they get to the top because they took the risk in the beginning to create the company, and now that they're at the top, they're just delegating? Or are you saying specifically the group that just say, they family got money, and so now they're just creating this cycle of that separation that you speak of?
Yeah, it's called a landed gentry. They have it in Great Britain is probably where you'd know it from most. If we had it here, you'd have like the Duke of New York or the Duchess of Vermont, things like that. And that's basically defined by wealth. And the more you have, you can just continue to gain that wealth and pass it along to your children, and you can gain power that way.
I mean, but if there's a separation in power, I mean, I think that does exist, though. I mean, I don't know if it comes down to business or money, maybe not so, but I do think that would make Jesus or God, or however you want to categorize it, a capitalist, in the sense of, I mean, because we were even like the Bible even talks about how we were created to worship God. You know what I'm saying? So like,
right.
We didn't come into this thing with like a even shake. You know what I'm saying? Like, we came in with a separation, and there's even things that teach us to keep that reverence and separation in reference to. I mean, like I say, it may not be a rich poor thing, but right. There is just a power.
Well, yeah, but in our society, rich, poor, and power, those are linked inextricably.
Right.
But I'll tell you this. We definitely know that Jesus wasn't a capitalist. We know that much for sure. And we know that just based on one simple fact that everybody knows. Jesus healed the sick, and he never sent them a bill. So he's not capitalistic in nature.
Yeah, but did he get fed off of it? Did he say, "That I healed your daughter"?
He healed people in the street, beggars, and people with nothing. So But as far as capitalism is, unfortunately, on paper, it's a great idea. You know what I mean? On paper, it seems like a really good idea and a really good way to go about it. But if it's left unchecked like it has been, then you get massive companies that have massive wealth that just can't be competed with by anybody. Amazon makes more money every year than, I think it was like 68% of the countries in the world. Their annual revenue is $2 trillion. Like, that's crazy.
But are they doing something harmful to have that separation?
Yes, actually, they are doing something harmful. And the problem is that we actually have laws against this, antitrust laws. When a company grows too big, it creates a monopoly and the government steps in and breaks it up and there's a good reason for that. They don't ever want any company becoming as strong as they are.
For sure. Right. I got that. But I'm saying just throughout the company or whatever they're doing, is somebody being hurt or hindered or something when it comes down to this company being able to have this much success? Like, yes. Is their success predicated off of somebody else's pain, if you will?
Yes. In a capitalistic, I'm going to tell you, in a capitalistic society, somebody always pays. It's like scales, it's like scales. Whenever somebody else gains more, somebody else has to lose more. So like you say, what cost was there to Amazon? Okay, well, every business that they ran out, there's no more malls anymore. For the most part, and if you go in there,
those are competitors. I'm saying within their.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's in a competitive economy. Somebody's always going to lose. Somebody's always going to win.
That's life. That's sports. That's anything. There's always a one winner situation, like, or maybe a tie or whatever you want to call it. But
you asked me if somebody was getting hurt by this happening.
But I'm specifying my question, not their competitors, not them taking out. Like, if I create Walmart, I take out Kmart. I'm not blaming Walmart for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but there's also like a company like McDonald's who came first out of all the fast food, but no fast food has taken them out. You feel what I'm saying? Like, that's just.
No, I get it. Yeah, it's never.
I'm saying, are they hurting somebody, like their employees, their customers? Is somebody being hurt for the sake of the success of this company?
Yes. It always has to be that way by its very nature. Capitalism by its very nature pits neighbors against neighbors. You know what I mean? It's the people in your community that you have to exploit people in one way or the other. Today, I'm talking about in today's capitalism.
Right.
You have to either exploit employees or you have to exploit customers, but you can't get that big without it. You just can't.
So who are they exploiting and how?
Well, mainly they're exploiting their employees right now. I mean, I'm sure you've heard the stories of all the people working in those distribution centers that they're under so much pressure all the time that they don't even take bathroom breaks and they have to pee in bottles. And like, yeah, like I'm saying, you can't get that big and not. I mean, if you're a good person and you establish good regulations inside your own company without somebody telling you to, then you can do things correctly. You can do things. You can become big without necessarily hurting your neighbor, but that's very rare.
But I will also say this: there's almost three big ones in one small Amazon warehouses in Jacksonville. I pick people and drop people off to these all the time, and I specifically, because I've definitely seen a documentary about those people who you're talking about who complained about the work conditions. So that makes me then ask them, I'm like, how do you like working there? And they all say the same thing. What? It's easy. It's just boring because you just literally doing the same thing all day. Like, if you scan this, that's all you do is scan. Like, there's no real
right.
It's just redundant. But they're also, at least here in Jacksonville, getting paid $22 an hour. You know what I'm saying? So maybe people's experiences are different. I don't know. but even going back to the whole question, would Jesus put anybody in harm's way to just say grow an Amazon? No. But do I think he would? I don't. But I do think there is a circumstance in which if he needed to grow an Amazon for whatever reason he's trying to help, I do think he would. Maybe it's not in the capitalistic nature, but he would definitely capitalize on that opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And driving it fully, because I know he's definitely not. I mean, we already know he's not going to do anything, just say sinful or harmful. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I think that's without question. But is there a way he can still just say operate in a capitalistic system without doing it? Or even would he even try or want to because of how the system's set up? I don't know. Janessa, what you got? You've been looking up stuff. I've seen the Google pop up on your eyes.
She's probably texting Kellie.
No.
Be like, you should hear what Terry's saying. You know?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Terry. I don't know if he would be or not, because it even seems like me and you have different, I guess, takes, and even on, like, I guess, the whole capitalistic world. Because I get what you mean in reference to the rich getting richer and making sure that it, kind of stays that way. Would Jesus do that? No. But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Because even like some can say, like, Kim Kardashian, is a capitalist.
Well, of course she is. Yeah. We all are. That's the thing. I'm not excluding myself. Right. But what I am saying is the entire economic system of capitalism is specifically designed for this purpose. You know what I mean? Like, but it can be used in at least a somewhat fair situation. I think the last time we had that was probably between the 50s and the 70s. That was one of the biggest times for labor unions in the country. And there's a reason why the powerful and the wealthy hate labor unions, because it gives the workers, the labor, an actual bargaining chip at the table. Now they get to be involved in the decision making, the means of production, and because the only power they have is in their numbers.
For sure.
And that's why, and if you're in the top 5%, your biggest fear in the world is that the bottom 95% remember how powerful they are when they're together. Because that's the only thing that can threaten you. Like, for instance, if everybody that made $50,000 a year or less didn't go to work tomorrow, the entire economy would collapse. The entire country would screech to a halt. And they know that because they're smart enough to know that.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's why they do things like union busting, and they try to fight it. They're doing it at Amazon right now. Even though it's against the law, there are ways around it, little loopholes and stuff like that. But they're not supposed to try and prevent their employees from forming a union. And I know that that's a dirty word to some people, but remember, if we didn't have it, we wouldn't have a 40-hour work week. We wouldn't have weekends. People used to work 6-7 days a week. And we wouldn't have child labor laws.
So let me ask you this.
Because you used to be able to just throw a 10-year-old into a coal mine and say, all right, have fun for the next 12 hours. Yeah.
But let me ask you this. In what way did the rabbi or whoever, did they say that they were? Because they said they were capitalists, but Jesus wouldn't be. So in what?
Yeah, that was the.
In what ways were they capitalists? Like within.
And again, it was God, not Jesus. They don't.
I mean, whatever. I'm saying, but about them though. I'm saying what made them agree to say I am a capitalist? What were they involved in?
Well, what do you mean? What are they involved in?
I'm saying, what business? What I mean, was it at the church? Are they staying rich in the church and making the members poor? Are they doing this in business? Like what?
Oh yeah, 100%. You can look at some of the mega church pastors, and
I'm not talking about mega church. I'm talking about the people that was on this conversation that you see.
Well, like I said, the rabbi was the only one that admitted to being a capitalist. And he said, "Well, I live in a capitalist society, so that wouldn't." And that is a good point, because you, me, Janessa, Kellie, everybody you know is a capitalist, because that's the society we live in. And by living in it, we're actively participating in it with each other.
So should we go against it because of?
That's a tricky question.
Following Jesus?
Well, that's a tricky question. But again, we all know the Bible says that the love of money is the root of all evil. And that's literally what capitalism is. It's the love of success and money being power. That's if I had one problem with capitalism, it would be that money makes too much power. It's fine to have all the money you want, but that you shouldn't be able to use that money to influence, the way the country is governed, or laws, or people's freedoms or rights. But that's what happens nowadays, unfortunately.
Especially now that you have crypto and people are making new forms of currency. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens, for sure.
Well, that's a whole nother deal, because that's all just fake, made up money. It's not backed by anything, and they're destroying the planet, because mining for crypto uses a lot of computing power. I mean, like, enough computing power for a small building.
What exactly does that mean, mining for crypto?
I am not fully aware on that, because somebody started explaining blockchain to me and crypto and all that a few years ago, and I think I might have passed out. I was so bored while they were talking. So I think that if you could regulate a little more, if you could take out some of that love for success, and that, constant, like, have to gain, we've got to constantly gain. We got to make that 3% this year. And if we don't make that 3%, stock's going to drop and I'm going to get fired. And, like, we just have that rat race mentality. And
is our actions justified because of the society that we live in?
I think that if we're not paying attention, I think it leads us to that love of all money, because now we start seeing not just power being in wealth, but we see purpose, we see self-love and esteem. We see, like, if I make enough money, I'll be a good person. And it's like, that doesn't, those two don't equate, and they usually don't intersect. Usually having, I mean, hey, more money, more problems, right? Or sorry, mo money. But yeah, it's also more temptation. And if you've ever had any good chunk of money, you'll know that it kind of makes you ramp up. Things are boring after a while. So you kind of have to keep ramping up, and you can get lost in that pretty quickly. Hey, it's like Squid Game, actually. Anybody watch that?
I did.
Yeah, it's like Squid Game. It's like you get so much money. It's like, just make them play games and kill each other, and we'll tell them we'll give them some money. And that's...
Yep.
Well, actually, what's interesting is this kind of thing has happened before, and it was in the last days of Rome, when there was such a division in the city that people would literally pay other people to, like, fight a tiger or fight to the death against each other, and then their whole society collapsed. So, yay, we're almost there.
I mean, I still don't know if Jesus, not just say being a capitalist, would stop him from just say selling somebody a product. because I know it would be kind of hard. Like if you was walking the earth and Jesus was at the same time as Jesus, even compared to the Bible stories, like we've never heard about Jesus doing anything in exchange for money.
That's true. In fact, he hated money so much that he turned over the money changers table in the temple. Remember?
Yeah, but that wasn't because of his hate for money. It was because of where they were doing it at. But
okay.
But
if money was good, he wouldn't have a problem with it being there.
I'm sure if there was a married couple having sex there, he would have said something, and that's still good. I just think it was more of the location and what they were doing. It wasn't the actual, it's money here. Ugh. Because
I don't think he did. I don't think he liked money.
Money can do a lot of good things. Like, the saying is more money, more problems. I can't attest to it either way because I haven't had enough money to have those type of, whatever those problems bring. But I could imagine that money definitely can solve problems that, not having money can't, in reference to like, hey, I'm poor and need a medical bill paid, as opposed to I'm rich and need a medical bill paid. Now, does money solve everything? Absolutely not. Is the love of money the root of all evil? Absolutely. But
how about this?
Hold on one second. If Jesus created Amazon, and not that it has to be that actual what they sell, but I'm just saying something in general that had that type of financial power, in the world, would he necessarily use it to, build a spaceship and go to the moon? Probably not.
Pretty sure he doesn't need a spaceship.
But he definitely would do something like that to, spread the wealth, so to speak, in whatever way that would look. And that would still be him selling things to people who actually have the money to afford it. And that's, once again, does that make him a capitalist? I don't know. Maybe not. But I'm saying, does that stop him from doing business and actually selling stuff? I think he would, even though there is no, just say, written proof in the Bible that shows that he did do that. Maybe he wouldn't exchange a prayer for money. But if I was exchanging goods for money to then help other people, I think Big Jesus would do that.
I think the perfect analogy is, the story of 5 loaves and 2 fishes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Big hungry crowd, nobody to feed them. So he takes 5 loaves and 2 fishes, and he feeds the entire crowd with that. It was a miracle. It's been defined as a miracle. Now imagine how much different that story would hit if he was like, great, everybody come and eat. Just 1 piece of silver each. Here you go.
Yeah, but he fed people who were hungry. So like people who were hungry, if they had money, they wouldn't have been hungry. You know what I'm saying? But
that's not why they weren't all paupers. They were just trying to listen to him speak, and they were all out. I mean, they weren't in like a town.
I know they were all in one place, but I'm saying him feeding these people had nothing to do with, like, oh, let me try to sell something to a bunch of poor people. Because if those was a bunch of kings and stuff he was sitting to, and he had that same amount, and he distributed it, he could have easily sold it to them because they can afford to buy it and then give the gold or whatever.
You're missing the point. He would never have sold it to them.
What I'm saying, he wouldn't have sold it to that.
Even if they could afford it.
Because
even if it was the king.
That's what I'm saying. I think he would.
It could be Caesar himself, and he would not have sold it to him.
I think if he were still here in this capitalistic society that we live in, I think he could find a way to flip it for good, and that would be the perfect way.
Why? But for why? He's Jesus. He goes, and boom, he's got all the money he wants.
Why did he die on the cross? He could have easily not done it. Why did he do anything that he did? Why did he come down? Anything that has happened.
He almost thought about it. Look, if you'll remember the scripture, he almost thought about getting off the cross.
I know.
But he said, Father, why have you forsaken me?
No, after he thought about getting off the cross, he said, but nonetheless, let your will be done.
That's correct.
Right. So what I'm saying is he still had the power to not do any of that, but he did. So to say that's never a debate. Like anything that we can say that God let happen, whatever. Like he had the power to control it the way that he wants to. So if he was here on Earth right now, living in this society and created Amazon, I don't, and nothing against Jeff Bezos or any other millionaire. I don't know their business, but I'm saying I know he wouldn't use it for the sake of being on a private jet, flashing it on the gram. You know what I'm saying? Like it would definitely sell to people who can afford it, and then give to those who are less fortunate.
If Janessa don't chime in here, I'm going to really start thinking she's just watching TV.
I mean, y'all are saying all the points. I don't have anything else to say.
Well, I'd say if Jesus was here today, what do you think he would say? If you asked him, hey, how do I please God the most?
I mean, I think, the Bible talks about not storing your treasures up on the earth because you can't take them with you. So, I think he would say, money should be used for necessities. He might even say maybe for, splurging here or there, but I don't know. But
maybe this sounds familiar. He would say, give all your possessions away.
How you gonna ask her a question?
Because I want to see what she said.
But you answered it right now.
Huh?
You answering it. You asked her a question, now you answering it. Why didn't you let her finish the answer?
Oh, I thought you did. I'm sorry. I didn't know I interrupted you. I thought you were done. My bad.
No, I was just saying, Lord, now I hope I didn't lose it.
Oh, now I definitely am a bad guy.
You were saying that you can't store up your treasures.
Oh, yeah, you can't store up your treasures. So he probably wouldn't, encourage you to just rack up here and just, sit on it. He would probably encourage you, like you said, Terry, encourage you to help those in need, make sure you're taking care of and help those in need. Like it shouldn't be about how much money I can just have for myself. It should be more so how much you can help others.
That's correct. That's exactly what he said. He said, basically, I'm paraphrasing, but basically, if you really want to be, if you want to go 100%, basically, get rid of all your possessions and go serve your fellow man. It also says in the Bible that it is harder for a rich man to get into heaven than it is for a camel to go through the eye of a needle.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with you having money for the sake of, because to even give them all your possessions, you got to have possessions.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, the love of money is the root of all evil. We've agreed on that, which means that money itself can corrupt you does.
But just because
very
you
often.
have money doesn't mean that you are in love with money. You can have money and not be in love with money. You can be a rich man or a woman and not be in love with money.
Well, yeah, and that's why it doesn't say...
You can be a poor man or woman and be in love with money.
Yes, but that's why it doesn't say it's impossible for a rich man to get into heaven. It just says it's harder for a rich man to get into heaven than a camel to go through the eye of a needle. And it doesn't mean a needle like needle and thread. Back in those days, they used to have big gates for the city, and they'd close the gates at night for protection. But they had a small little personal gate that people could duck down and get through. That was called the eye of the needle. So to get a camel through it, you'd have to squat them down and kind of just scoot and push and push. It means it's not impossible for a wealthy man to get into heaven. It just means it's more difficult because money corrupts.
Right. I'm not arguing that. What I'm saying is that even on a larger scale, that scripture isn't just pertaining to just a wealthy person, because if you're talking about somebody who is in love with money, you can be in love with money and not have money, is what I'm saying. And you fit in that same category as the camel situation, is what I'm saying. Because even if you're not rich in possession, if you have that in your heart, and that's who you are, you will do grimy things to try to get money, even if you don't have a lot of it, and that would definitely, cancel you out for lack of
and that's true. I mean, the Bible has definitely said multiple times that coveting is a sin, and that's all that is. Just I want what you got, and that's not true either. And I mean, I agree with that, because you should never look in your neighbor's bowl to see what they have. You should just look in the neighbor's bowl to see if they have enough. That's how you be a good person.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. And even going back to the whole capitalism thing, like, once again, the way I look at just say capitalists, not the society of it, but just capitalizing, being a capitalist in the sense of, creating a business or whatever it is, but for a greater purpose, like you're actually trying to create some type of, something helpful. I think that, whether you're talking about Christian morals or just human morals or whatever, I think that's a way of looking in your neighbor's bowl and making sure they have enough. And I not that Jesus has done it, but I don't think that he would be opposed to doing it, or even us as his children doing it. But most definitely anybody who is doing anything to, keep themselves separate and keep themselves ahead, because like, I want to make sure me and mine only have, and everybody else just make sure that y'all make sure that we have it, but you'll never actually have it. That person there is definitely fucked up.
Well, but see that again, that is a wealthy man's mentality.
Sure.
Because it's not out of spite. It's not out of they don't do that out of petulance to be mean to other people just to keep them down. They do it because it's a defense mechanism. Right. I used to know this guy named Marty Beyer, right? I used to work with him. This dude was loaded. He made $20 million a year off his pest control company. And I asked him one day, because he said, "Oh, I'm going to start a different business." I said, "Man, you're 80 years old. You got all the money you will ever spend, all the money your children or your children's children will ever spend."
Right.
I said, "What are you doing still working?" And he goes, "I don't work so that I can have more money." He goes, "I work so that you can't." And I said, "Really?" I said, "That seems mean." And he goes, "You got to look at it from my point of view. I've built up all this empire of mine, and if I let you get a little bit of money, now you're more of a threat to me. Mm-hmm. So I have my pest control company. If I let you make a few $1 million, then your pest control company can grow and might put mine out of business." So it's a cutthroat nature of capitalism.
Right. But if you had pest control and I was selling loaves of bread, you wouldn't mind letting me make millions of dollars off that, because it has nothing to do with your industry.
No, because there's a lot more things that go into it than just protecting your business. It's also protecting your interest, protecting your idealism, your beliefs.
Right, but if I get something different than what you're doing, yeah. I'm saying there's two sides to it. What you're saying is correct. I'm not disagreeing with that. But then there is on the other side where if somebody isn't a threat to me, I will then capitalize on the opportunity to invest in something that somebody else is doing that's totally different, but I think is a good idea that can help then make me.
But you're missing it, because money equals power. It doesn't matter what industry I'm in. If I start making $20 million a year, I don't care if it's pest control or it's car dealerships or it's baking bread. It doesn't matter. Now I have just as much power as he does. So let's say that I'm pro-life and he's pro-choice. Now we're equally as powerful. Whereas if he stopped me in the beginning, I could never be a threat to him, because money equals power. That's the problem. And you only get that money equals power when you leave capitalism unchecked. It didn't used to be like this. It used to be perfect. People made millions of dollars. They became wealthy, but they were forced to take care of the people below them. And that's why we used to have a thriving middle class, but we don't anymore.
But if me and you both have $100 million in our bank account, but you're in debt to me 50 because of my initial investment, that still gives me power over you.
What?
I'm saying if we have the equal amount of money, like if I invested in
but what's this about a loan? He would never give me a loan. He would never give me a loan because he doesn't want me to start it.
No. I understand that. I'm just saying in general. If I had one company in one industry and you had something else, and I funded it, but I put you in a position to always be indebted to me, even if your company outgrew mine, I still own yours. You feel what I'm saying?
No, but it wouldn't matter because again, he would never do that because he would still have some power over me.
He would still have power even because
why would he do that when he could just stop me before he'll nip it right in the bud and I won't have any power?
I get that. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, but even if because people invest in smaller businesses all the time. You know what I'm saying? But it's because that me as the investor, I still keep that dominance in the power structure because I'm even buying, percentages of your company and all that type of stuff without even having to really do any work. And you just basically put in the legwork and I make the money because of my investment.
Right. And what does that have to do with Jesus? I think we got off on a tangent here.
Well, I'm saying I don't think Jesus would do it for that unless in some way, whatever money he was making would then be to help the people who are less fortunate. That's my assessment.
I don't think he would do that. That's why I'm
leaving it at. Like,
I think he could help the less fortunate with a touch of his hand. He wouldn't have to sell anything to anybody.
Right. Just like he could have saved us from damnation with the snap of his finger without ever going to the cross. But he did. So I'm saying I get what he can do.
Right.
And I think that he would not be opposed to having this huge business if he lived in today's society, only if it was for the sake of helping people. I don't think he would do it for the sake of keeping himself separate in a financial bracket is what I'm saying. I don't know what Janessa's saying.
She hasn't said anything.
I've been listening. It's been good. Y'all saying all the good points.
I'm saying, I mean, are you in agreement with
that? Yeah. Who's right? Who's wrong, Janessa? And just remember who made you breakfast.
Oh my gosh. No, I just think he wouldn't, if he did get money for services or whatever, I definitely don't think he would keep it for himself or to, make him higher than he already is, being Jesus or God. I don't necessarily think, I don't know. I don't know if he would do it or not. Cause like to your point, Rudy, he has the power, but what God or what Jesus would actually do are two different things. Because I think about, is it Lazarus? Didn't Jesus get word that he was sick and then he didn't come for another 3 days? Mm-hmm. So I'm, it's things like that. Yeah. He probably could have just got up immediately, went there, saved Lazarus, but he chose to wait. There was a lesson and there was teaching going on through that whole story. So I don't know. What Jesus would do if he was here today and living.
Do you think that do you think he slept on Lazarus because he's just like, I'll get over there and raise him. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it, guys.
I don't know. Because even to your point earlier, he could have not came and still healed him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So true. I mean, I don't know what.
I don't know about that. I don't know if he could do that. Just I've never, because usually it required something.
Well, what's it called? The guy, the guy. I think he was paralyzed. Didn't they say he had to just wash or something?
Get in the pool.
Yeah, I don't think Jesus necessarily did anything. He was just saying, hey, you do this and then you'll be saved. Just like he told the lepers to go say thank you or go back and they were healed. It wasn't like he laid hands on the 10 lepers and, they were healed. So
yeah, but he did with the blind man. He laid his hands on the blind man and he could see.
Yeah. There was one, he told him to go do something.
Oh, yeah. No, that's happened. Yeah, no, that's happened.
But no, the blind man, I think he spat on his hands and the mud and put them on his eyes. Not that guy. It's a different guy.
My suggestion for season 2, we all need to read the Bible more. We be out here. I think it's somewhere in there. It's a story about.
Well, because when you don't have to remember each word and where the verse is to remember what general vibe you got off of it when you read it.
But sometimes we be making up shit. Let's just be real.
I don't think so. I don't think I've ever said this.
Piecing 3 scriptures together. In the beginning.
Harry, now you've given us some wrong scriptures, my friend.
Just twice I kept track of them, and they weren't wrong. They were just I didn't have every word correctly, but the message was still the same.
That's called wrong.
Okay, but the message was
isn't correct. That's called wrong.
What are you, a Pharisee? It doesn't matter.
You said I think everything. It wasn't wrong. Just everything wasn't correct.
It'd be like if I said 5 loaves and 2 fishes. I said 4 loaves and 2 fishes. You're wrong. Is this Jeopardy, or are you trying to get the point, like the general lesson?
No, but you've been living off than just a loaf of bread or a fish. You created a whole.
Who cares? That's not the point. It could be 1 loaf and 1 fish. It doesn't matter. The lesson, the parable, still means the same thing.
You said second Genesis one time. All right.
What?
I'm just kidding.
I said no such thing.
All right. Worst ones PK on Instagram. Janessa, matter of fact, you can do this. And Kellie.
Church announcements. You can find us at The Worst Ones PK on all social media platforms. If you would like to watch or listen to us, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, and anywhere else you find your podcasts. And of course, once you go to these places, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends.
Hey, shout out your girl.
Of course, y'all follow Princess Kels 51. I'm gonna take her passcode one day and accept all the friend requests. So yes, we miss you, Kelly. We'll see you next time. But follow her on social media at Princess Kels 51.
Kellie Lee. Oh wow.
You know, you and I, Rudy, were on such the same page that I said if he doesn't do it, I'm gonna.
Mandatory.
Yeah.
And you can find me for all things coffee, tea, and beer at Melanated Brews. And then you can find my personal page is at JRihanna _. And that's it.
Terry Wayne Comedy. If you want to come by, hear some jokes, argue a little bit with me, that's fine. We can do it all.
Okay. Gotcha. At Rudy of All Trades is my personal page. At the podcast official page is the other podcast that I host once a month, the last Monday of each month, and we do it live on Zoom. Everyone in the world is welcome to join the live Zoom call to talk about the topics that we discuss. I just basically present it, and you guys have the open discussion so that you don't have to try to cuss people out later on in the comments. You can do it live on Zoom. 815-499-0955.
Yeah.
Is the Zoom ID.
How many hundreds of millions of viewers does that one have?
It's in the billions at this point.
Because we got 500 million.
It's in the billions at this point. No. And then, of course, interested sponsors. Always, we welcome you once. We welcome you twice. We welcome you 3 times. In the name of Jesus Christ. All right.
Oh.
And that's about it, man. Once again, shout out to Kellie Lee. We actually have a guest coming on for our next podcast, another PK coming on as we wrap things up for the year. We appreciate you guys listening to us as always. We are the worst ones. And until next time, yeah.
Top of the world. Top of the world.